hone in a little bit on the commercial real estate market? And Jose, I don't know if it's a specialty, but feel free to weigh in. I mean, what are you seeing going on? Is it something? Is it cause for major concern? Is it a cause for minor concern? Is it contained? Is it mostly U.S.? Is it a bit of Europe? What's the sort of dynamic that you sense? And Isabelle is kind of an expert in real estate investing over her career. So.
But real estate, it's the same story for all asset classes. What matters is the underlying trends, what is supporting the asset class, the investment thesis you have behind your investments. So if you look at real estate, the headlines are on the office market, and we can understand why, because it's probably the biggest allocation for most of the investors in the world. The historical asset class is offices. And so this is the one that is under pressure, more in the US than in Europe because of the supply in the US, because of people reluctant to go back to the office, probably more in the US than in Europe. So yes, definitely there is an issue on offices. Yeah. Nevertheless, even within the office market, you will see very big difference between the best asset, at least here in Paris. I can tell you that all the office we have close to this hotel, they are fully let at level of rents that we have never seen. So there is such a scarcity for those best offices that there is a queue from the best tenant to get access to that. So cash flow-wise, it's working. But nevertheless, there is 80% of the stock that is under pressure because it's an obsolete stock that will require massive amount of capex to upgrade them. So that's the big issue. But if I look at our portfolio of real estate, we have less than 30% of offices, and everything else is diversification. It's residential, with also very good letting momentum. It's logistic, that is performing very well. In the US, our portfolio is 80% logistic. But it's also student accommodation. And we know when you look at the lack of supply, especially in continental Europe, this is an asset class that is overperforming. The same thing with data centers. We have been a little bit on the headline with studio. We have invested in studio cinema. Those asset classes continue they are all real estate. This is also life science. We are talking about laboratory. This is all real estate. This is 70% of our portfolio, and there is no liquidity issue, and cash flow wise, it's working on very well, and with capturing all the indexation, all the inflation. So it's a very good hedge against inflation, and this is so. You have real estate, and within real estate, you have to dig into the underlying asset and to really look at what is supporting those sub-asset classes, and what matters is the diversification of the portfolio.
Jose, do you want to come in on real estate? I mean, could you guys ever look to buy a real estate manager, for instance, as part of your expansion?
We have, and everybody has at our size, we get all kinds of ideas from bankers about, the things that we could buy, and real estate is one of them. Real estate, secondaries, and credit. I'm not an expert in commercial real estate. The only thing that I would comment on is what I'm watching, or, like what I think is important, for my part of the industry, is whether or not, there's enough commercial real estate exposure in some of the big banks, right? That there might be a potential banking crisis, kind of looming, right? In the next few years. And it's fascinating, right? Because if we talk to the CEOs of the big banks in the US, they will tell you we have no problem, right? This is a small part of our portfolio. It's mostly concentrated in smaller regional banks. If you talk to the private lenders in the US, they will tell you, no, this is a massive problem. It's just, kind of a train wreck, a slow-moving train wreck. My own perspective is that the banks are very well, positioned to absorb, kind of this shock, because it won't happen. This is not a one-time thing or one-time event. There's not a one-time catalyst. It will be kind of more regional. It will be, kind of lender by lender or property by property. So my own opinion is that I think the banking system in the U.S. at least is well positioned to absorb the shock of it. And we saw even this year, right? We did have 3 of the largest, top 20 banks in the U.S. fail, and nobody remembers that anymore, right?
It's extraordinary that that's amazing, right? It's like a footnote.